Okay guys, we're going to get started here right now. I'm not going to make this very long. I just want to run through a couple of pairs. It's non-farm news on Friday, so the whole smattering of news actually on Friday, as you can see from here. All high impact U.S. delivered news, and so probably going to see a little bit of market fluctuation due to that. So I won't be trading anything on Friday. Thursday, there's also a bunch of news, a little bit for the Canadian dollar, medium impact news for the U.S. dollar, and then crude oil inventory, on Thursday instead of the normal Wednesday. So just keep that in mind, and then a whole bunch of later in the day speakers. So we could even see markets run a little bit towards the end of the day. Late end of day type of thing, so just keep that in mind. I won't be trading on Thursday. I'm gonna just let the price do its thing on Thursday, watch some levels, and because ultimately I think we're gonna have a fairly big shift happen here after Friday and going into the month of June. So I'll talk about that here in a second. So I think personally the best trading days are going to be Tuesday, today, and then going into Wednesday we might get a little bit of action with some of the, I don't know why I have Swissy news coming in here. Let me just take some of this off here. Actually, I'll keep that on. Yeah, so Wednesday there's a bunch of Euro news. So tomorrow, and then ADP non-farm employment change for the U.S. dollar, and some prelim GDP numbers come out on all on Wednesday. So could see a little bit of, and especially with the Canadian dollar as well too, should be some fairly good movement there. I would keep this in mind though. I probably wouldn't have a position on the Canadian dollar. Just with this news right here. If you want to do a position, I would trade up to it or right after it. I personally wouldn't want to have anything in here. I mean, I'll talk about the Canadian dollar here in a second, but could be some fluctuation happening there. And going into Tuesday, though, very, very minimal news happening here. CB consumer confidence, a little bit later in the morning at 10 a.m. New York time, so may not be a super busy session, but I'll post a couple of levels here that I'm looking at, and we can go from there. So I just want to make sure that we're streaming, everything's good to go. Yeah, see us there. Okay. So I'm going to get started here. Flip over the charts. So U.S. dollar, I believe we probably will see this 95 level taken out. I've been talking about that for a little while. This is on the weekly. You can see these two equal highs right here. And I kind of like these lows, the small consolidation area right here. We could see these lows even start to get hit. So the body lows I'd be looking for at 95.35 on the upside. And I think that would kind of complete that range. If we saw this, the highs of these candles give way, then we're going to start shooting up for this area in here would be the next target. So we'll keep that in mind. However, with non-farm coming up on Friday, I'm kind of expecting something a little more like this to occur. Price will probably just keep pushing up Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday's event should take us over the 95 level, and whether we get up to this 95.35 or not, or it just takes 95.05 by a pip or two, or creates another equal high maybe, I don't know, but I'm expecting a rollover to happen from there and price to kind of relax a bit. This has been a very extended range, so we're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks so far. This is a bit of a doji here on this feed here, but you know what? Whoops. Let me just switch over to my other demo account, and I just wanted to, yeah, this candle right here is what I'm looking at. So it opened, oops, this candle opened 92.43 and it closed at 92.38. So it's technically a down candle, a bearish candle. So this week ran up and then rejected and came back. But for all intents and purposes, you can see here, I mean, we're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks pretty much straight up. So any market doing that, it's eventually going to exhaust. And we wanted to see, obviously, last week if these highs right here at 94 would get ran. I knew they were going to get run, but I didn't know if it was going to just pop its head above and then reject and come back down. I felt very strongly that these highs at 95 here we're going to get taken out. I'll switch back to this chart. 95.05 we're going to get 95.05 we're going to get taken out, and I think we'll put in a couple more days pushing higher here, and I think this will eventually take it. But like I say, after this long price extension, I think it's probably about time for price to at least retrace a bit, relax, pick up some of the stops that it's left. And there's several areas in price on this move up here that I think it could easily trade back down to, and some of the stuff that I'm looking at as well too. So if you look at this as a swing, take from the last recent down candle. Try this again here. Take from the last recent down candle here, the body, and I'm actually going to go up to here just because I think that's where the final destination of this price movement is going to tag out. If we do get a retracement, we need to see how price comes right back down here. Typically, the highs of the consolidation level that price just left from will get retested again, and you can see right here 72 and 79% retracement level, right in that area of retracement that in my mind I think would be highly logical and highly predictable for price to fall back to. So now that's sort of what I'm going to be looking at on the downside. Now, as again, if we see price push up through here and it hits 95 and it doesn't look like it wants to do any form of rejection whatsoever, then the next level that I'll be looking at would be if these highs give way. The next levels I'll be looking at are right in here, the lows of these candles in here, and that comes in at 96, about 96.50, 96.60, somewhere in and around there. I'll dial that in. I'll worry about this once it gets past this high here. I'm worrying about getting that a little bit more dialed in, a little bit more specific. So that's sort of what I'm looking at on that. Probably those highs there. Maybe even this high here. Yeah, we'll see what happens. 96.50 on the upside, and then again on the downside, I would expect them again 95.05 to get tagged rollover, and then this downside. Now, typically, if I would see a rejection, this would be the first area right here that I think we would reject to. This small consolidation level right here. I think these levels here would push through. We might see a little bit of a bounce here, or a little bit of consolidation level when price returns back down to here. But I think that would be the first target. And then once it clears these levels down here, the second target, as I say, would be down into these levels in here. Maybe even surpassing this guy here, and who knows, coming back down to 90 big figure. So that's what I'd be looking at on the US dollar. But if we are going to be pushing higher here for the next couple of days, I think there's some opportunity. One of them, Euro USD, we had a nice down day today, as you can see. I got a target here on my screen at 115.50, and right now we're trading about 75 pips away from that. So very attainable for the next day or two. Now, I sent out a tweet earlier, or a message earlier, to the chat room about taking small profits on a week like this week. I wouldn't be holding out for huge average daily ranges. For the euro, I think the average, I don't have the ADR on this chart here, but You know, the euro ADR is usually anywhere from 60 to 80 pips, and the pound dollar is usually 80 plus, and so I wouldn't necessarily be holding out for one of those daily ranges. I would just keep it sort of short and sweet. Get in, get out, capture 25 to 30, maybe 40 pips, and be done with it for the week. If you can do that once or twice this week, consider yourself lucky. Get out of the market. Sit on the sidelines because there's plenty of trading to come down in June. So do not get greedy. But the euro in particular, looking at some levels, you can see in here, I'm just go down to 15. You can see here, see these equal highs that price has been putting in. Come up here, reject, 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 reject. So I think those are going to get run, and if we do see a continuation to the downside, I wouldn't mind seeing price if it would like to, if price comes up and trades to here at 116.60 or 116.62, I'll just make it an even number for argument's sake here. I'd be surprised. Whoops, didn't do that. I'd be surprised if we got much higher than that. This was a nice rebalance in here, and so really, if you saw price get above, come in and start trying to go for the highs in here, then it would obviously reject this notion that price wanted to push lower. So what I think we're probably going to see, if this is, I'm going to go down to a daily here now in the US dollar. But what I'd like to see is if price can come down, trade a little bit weaker going into London, and then come back to this candle high somewhere around this level here, 94.10. Whoops, about that candle high there. So was that about 94.17 to 94.15, somewhere in and around there. Start to see price fail to continue lower, reject, and then resume higher. If we get a price retracement that deep, I'd be looking for something similar on the Euro USD for price to run these highs in here and potentially stretch for one of these. Now, price may not stretch that high. We could just get a stop run of 10 to 20 pips. So if I were to take the highs in here and do about a 20 pip stop run, that would take me to right about here ish. So that would be kind of challenging, maybe challenge this high in here, but I would kind of think the middle of this sort of consolidation range would be sort of the target, and then price to roll over from there. So somewhere kind of, right around here, that would probably be my bet, but you'd have to have a bit larger of a stop loss on that. So let's just say 1645 was the entry, and again, you wouldn't, I wouldn't just set a limit order on this one. I'd be watching price. Normally I'd set a limit order, but there are a couple areas above that price could stretch for, and I would rather watch it do it and make the call at the time to say, well, it's got up to 116.45. Doesn't look like price wants to reject from here. Let's wait to the next level, which would be 116.60, and then see what price wants to do there. And if that fails, then they may want to stretch for the highs up here. And if that goes well, then it looks like Monday would have been made the low of the day, of the week, and they could be potentially trading higher. And if that happens, then more than likely this could be the high on the US dollar that got put in for Monday, and then price could trade softer. So just keep that in mind. But just watch price. I'd like to come in and set a limit order on this one, and limit order, stop level, and then the target. But I think that for this one, I'd be inclined to just kind of watch and see what price does. Again, there was some news coming out for the euro at 4 a.m. New York time. So that's about 3 hours from now. So you wouldn't have to wait very long to see price sort of react. But I'd be looking for a false move higher and then a break lower. And for a target, I'm not going to sit here and say hold out for 1550. I think that's where price will eventually run for the week. Could be pretty sloppy getting down there, so I would suggest if you get an entry in at, let's just say, for example, the 1645 level. I am kind of thinking that you would be happy at just taking out the lows from today, maybe by, I don't know, maybe by 5 or 10 pips or something like that, maybe, and I would collapse the trade, and then that would be just a nice, like I say, 40, 50 pip trade, call it done. I wouldn't be holding out for big ranges this week. And I say that in Monday on a holiday, U.S. holiday, I put in a pretty big range. This was Monday's trading. You can see 120 pip range. So that's also something too, a little bit suspect. When you get these big range days like that, typically what happens afterwards is you get a little bit of consolidation happening. Price needs to rebalance and maybe retrace a little bit. So just keep that in mind. The euro may not do a whole lot of anything tomorrow, today. It could just kind of bounce between, this level here, this 1660 level, and maybe the tops of these candles here. I don't know. We're just going to have to kind of wait and see what price wants to do. But so far, it's making a slight push up, and I would expect it to continue to climb higher. And I'll be watching these levels for a potential reversal. So that's kind of what I'm looking at there on the euro for the day. So I will update you on that. All of our members, you'll get a signal if I think price is going to start to stall out at one of these levels, and go from there. Now, in terms of setting a stop, so absolute maximum 30 pips. I'd be a little more inclined to say if you got in at 116.45, I would suggest your stop would be no more than this 116.75 here, and I wouldn't even say that high. I'd go 116.70. If price wanted to reach up that high, I'd kind of be like, I'm not really too interested in this one. But that's kind of what I'd be looking at, somewhere in that range there. And then if I got in an entry at 1660, well, I would allow for at least a 20 pip stop, maybe 116.75 at the very most if price wanted to go higher than that. So you could, tighten it up a little bit there. But I'd say this level up here would kind of be the maximum. I wouldn't want to see it go any higher than that. And that's if we get a run, even up to here. Price could pop its head above just a couple of pips. You see this small consolidation level in here. Price could literally just come up right to the bottom of that at 16.35, which is 5 pips higher than what it is now. Just clear the stops by a couple of pips and then just start shooting lower. So again, I mean, there's a few levels to watch for in the euro. All would make logical sense in terms of where they'd want to reach for. I'd say more realistically, though, I kind of like this level right in here, only because there's a small area there where I think price may want to rebalance, but I wouldn't get too caught up on that. I would just suggest that you just look at this level here, 1645, and then again, if price starts to shoot higher than that, then this would kind of be the next level I'd be looking for, and then go from there. So, and then target, as I say, I would highly recommend you closing at 116. You could even say, like I say, 11600. Price may want to stretch down for that down there, and just call it a day. Just a quick 5 pip sweep on these. On yesterday's lows, and get out of there. Over to the pound dollar quickly, and I'm already taking longer than I wanted to on this session. Same type of thing. Pound dollar definitely has not been showing as much bearishness as the Euro USD, and you can see here. You can see this sharp, steep downtrend that the Euro's been in. The pound definitely has been trading softer, but it hasn't been that sharp. This is more indicative of what the euro has been doing versus this, where it's just kind of price has just been slowly rolling over and retracing every down candle it puts in. You can see it here. It finally got out of this consolidation, and then put a down candle in, retraced. Put a down candle in, retraced. Down candle, retraced. So, and on and on and on. So, anyway, What I'm looking at here for the pound, um, and not too much because there isn't a ton of news on the pound going into Tuesday, so I don't know that I'd be doing a whole lot of trading on that. And in fact, Wednesday as well too, there isn't a whole bunch. The pound had a whole bunch of news come out last week, and I honestly kind of felt that it was a little bit lackluster. They didn't really move the pound around that much. I thought we were going to see more of ranges like this, especially out of this consolidation. Didn't really happen. Didn't give it to us, so no big deal. But I was looking for lower prices on the pound dollar. I was looking for these lows in here to get swept. They finally just got that on Friday of last week. We put a trade out. Very, very good trade. Can't even remember how many pips it was now. I think it was 75 or 80 pips or something that we got on Friday. And I think our entry was... What was our entry on the pound? This was Friday's trading. It was this right here. I actually, on my demo account, I actually literally got this 1 pip off the high. Where is it here? Yeah, right there. I got this 1 pip off the high, and then price came all the way down, and it tagged it out right here on the very last candle of the day. So great little trade for Friday, but I think going into Tuesday, I'm not going to be paying a whole lot of attention to the pound dollar, only because I like the weakness of the euro. I think this one's the one that's trending, and I think they're going to keep stretching down a little bit further. I honestly, my price level on the euro was these equal lows under here and a sweep down to about that 1700 level. And it got that, and it got it very, very nicely on Friday, and then on Monday too, it smashed down it again. So, like I say, I'm not looking for big, big ranges, but if they are going to keep bringing it down, yeah, just watch this one. Keep a tight stop. Price did hit a fairly, see over here in these, this consolidation level back in here. Price rebounded right off the highs in these candles in here, and pretty significant level, and it so far has bounced. So we could see a bit deeper of a retracement. So that's why I say you really got to be watching price. I'm not going to put a limit. Normally, like I said, I'd put a limit order in, but we could see price rebound a little bit higher than expected. So we could even see this candle up here from last Thursday, this green up candle retested. I doubt it, but just keep that in mind. You could see price really push up on that one. So keep a tight stop if you do trade the euro. If you are trading, hopefully you're not. Honestly, myself, I'm not trading personally. None of my personal stuff for live accounts or anything like that. They're going to be in the market this week. I'm just mainly electing to study price. I'll throw out a couple of signals and some levels here as I see them going forward, but yeah, it's going to be pretty much a week just to kind of study price and see what we're doing. So as non-farm weeks tend to be. So that's about it for the pound dollar. However, you see here, you see these equal lows that price put in. I'm just going to borrow this right there. Equal lows. That more than likely will get ran. I don't know if they're going to run it on Tuesday's trading, but those will get ran. And ultimately, I think, you know, on the downside, I think they'll probably push a little bit lower. But the cable is shown, and I wouldn't necessarily say strength or anything, but it just hasn't shown as much of a willingness to come down as the euro has. So it kind of leads me to believe that they could be leaving this and not driving this as low as the euro is going to get, and then they're going to start ripping this thing higher. So we got to keep that in mind. But the next level I would be shooting for would be this candle wick low over here, which comes in at 132.20-ish. Low is actually 132.20 exactly. Let me just go ahead and make that change. Okay. So on the downside, that's sort of where I'd be shooting for. And it's, again, just a little under 100 pips, about 80 pips now, a little over. So that would be the pound dollar, what I'm looking at. And in terms of entries on this, same type of thing as the euro. I mean, I'm not really looking for price to go any higher than these highs in here. I would I would suggest that if price got higher than 133.60, I wouldn't be looking for shorts on the euro or on the pound dollar for the time being until see what happens next week. But if price rallies all the way back up here and we're talking 40 pips higher, I would not be looking at shorts. So just keep that in mind. But you could potentially look for maybe these highs to get ran here, a quick sweep, or price could have put in a high rate here as well too. It kind of came down just about into the middle of this small little retracement range right in here. So you could potentially see if that area holds. So 133.25 to 133.40 could be a couple of levels to watch for on the pound dollar. And I would suggest, like I say, 133.60 would be my line in the sand. I would not want to see price go any higher than that. And then I would target these lows down here, which would be 132.95, and I again maybe about a 5-pip run below that to 132.90. That would kind of be the target. So if you did manage to get a short off somewhere in this area here, let's say 133.35 for instance, that would be a nice 45-pip range down to 132.90, and I would cap that off right there. So I'll keep an eye on the pound. I'm more looking at the euro, but I'll keep an eye on the pound as well too. Euro GBP, not much to discuss here. This thing's just been in this messy little area right here. While they manipulate the euro and the pound dollar. Excuse me. So I'm not going to be discussing that too much. However, just something kind of caught me out of the corner of the eye. See how this price level here is holding? These candles in here and this down candle seems to be holding so far. So we're going to be watching to see. This guy here has been in a real tight consolidation for about the past year now. So not a whole lot to discuss on this. And this is where they're consolidating this. This is where they do all their manipulation, like I was saying to you earlier. And so this could be an indefinite consolidation. Who knows how long they're going to do this for. The Euro GBP has... look at this. This is literally years of consolidation, just like this. This is a tighter range for sure. I'm hoping once this breaks out, we'll see a nice, big range that comes in. And to be honest with you, I kind of like the lower side. I see these levels down in here that they didn't run. I'd love to see if they drop them down here, rip those out, and then push higher again. If that does happen, if the price does smash underneath here and start to take out these lows here, that's going to bode very, very well for the pound dollar to push much higher. So just keep that in mind. But we won't know until it definitively breaks out. I thought we were going to see a break in price rate down in here when it retraced, failed, and then pushed lower. I thought that was going to be the push lower in here, and price was going to start collapsing down to the 8,500 level, but it just surprised me and ran right back up in the middle of the range again, and that's kind of where it's been sitting for the past 3 or 4 weeks. So not a whole lot to discuss there, unfortunately. US CAD, if we do see that push higher, I put out a couple of charts earlier today to my membership group, and a couple of levels I'm looking for. If we do see that 95 big figure on the US CAD, the US dollar, then the US CAD should see a push higher as well too. And I don't necessarily think these lows in this consolidation are going to hold back price. I don't think that's going to offer resistance at 134.50. I think we'll probably more than likely start to sweep this old high up here. And if that goes, then, well, and I'm not expecting a continuation higher. if we do see the US dollar poke its head above the 95 and then start to roll over, the US CAD should, in theory, do the same thing. However, just a couple of things to keep in mind. A, very, very strong bull trend. B, higher levels, the small area in here where all these candle lows are coming in at 131, 13200 could potentially be the range on the upside. Sorry, 13200. So just keep that in mind. If it does run this high here, I'm not necessarily looking for a quick pop above, a gathering of the stops, and then a rejection. So just keep that in mind. If you are a Canadian dollar trader, the longs may not be done yet. The bulls may still have control out of this. So you can see very, very nice uptrend here, though. Crude oil had a very, very steep sell-off on Friday, Thursday, and Wednesday after crude oil inventory numbers. Actually, all of last week. One gigantic down candle. Price just offered a little bit of a push higher and rejected the old highs here, and then came back. Swept the old highs from the week before, rejected, and then got smashed back down. So the 63.70 level I'm looking at as sort of the area where I'd like to see if they want to finish pushing this thing down. If we see this continue to push lower than here and it gets below the 65.80 level, 65.79, 65.80, then I'd be looking for 63 to happen for sure. And if it closes below 63.70, well, then this whole level under here, all these levels under here and under here, those could eventually get taken. And I've been looking at a few levels, more so, I'm just got to find it here. See these lows down in here? If we lose this 63.70 level, that'd be the target that I'd be looking for, right under here. And I was actually looking for them to run, after they ran off from here and then pushed higher here, this decline here, I was looking to see if they wanted to pop back down to grab up the area under here, but they did not. They just powered this thing back up about another $10 almost in a very short period of time. So long term bullish. Now we got to be very careful because there's some news coming out now. Crude oil is very heavily afflicted by Middle Eastern news and world events and everything else. I think we all know this, so nothing new there. But the OPEC has come out saying that they believe they've solved the glut, the supply glut that has been present since 2015. And now, they could potentially see prices start to run higher. However, there's a lot of the big member-producing countries now that are saying that they'd like to see $60 oil, and they, just fine with that. Russia, is one of them, which is a big producer. So just keep that in mind. Next month, I believe it's on the 12th. And I'm probably wrong about that. Let me just double check that date. But there's a big meeting in Vienna, I believe it is, for all of the major crude oil producing countries around the world who are going to get together, and they're going to discuss crude and the price that they want to see, and after that, then we can start to gather our positions on crude oil. But right now, I'm going to take this 72.87 high here, and I'm going to assume that's going to remain intact for the next foreseeable little while. Into June, and I think, again, it's about 2 weeks away is when that meeting is, so I think I'm going to elect to just kind of sit on the sidelines on crude oil until that comes out. So if you're a crude oil trader, just keep in mind, they may push it higher. I mean, I'd love it if they did, because it benefits everybody if it pushes higher, but I'm electing to sit on the sidelines because I do think that this 63.70 level is going to get hit, and then if they take that out, then we could even, like I was saying to you, be going down to here and just under these lows under here at sub 60 levels. So just as an FYI. Anyway, been talking a lot in our group here about Aussie. As you can see, prices had a nice retracement. It has pushed down nicely with the same sort of aggressiveness as the US dollar. Not quite as aggressive, I guess, as the US dollar. Took an old low over in here, came back down, checked once, checked twice, and has rebounded slightly since, and now it's starting to trade a little bit softer. I'm not necessarily looking for prices to run any higher on Aussie yet. I think there could be some continued downside until NFPs come out on Friday, and I think the 7,500 level, they could literally just sit here and just work this sideways for about the next 3 or 4 days until that news comes out on Friday. But I think the Australian dollar is showing a lot of strength going forward, and I think if the US dollar does fail here, it gets up, it fails, and it fails to continue to go higher. Not that it fails to sweep 95 level, but it fails to continue higher from 95. Then this is a pair that you could really see a very, very aggressive move higher, and we could get above these highs here very, very quickly. So that could be a very, very nice range, and we'll watch for that. If you are a holder of the Australian dollar, I would suggest, if you are short, that you again take your profits. I wouldn't want to be. I'm hesitant to say that price is definitely going to come down to 75. I'd like to see if it holds or not. If it does come down there, I want to see what it does. But just keep in mind, if the U.S. dollar starts to show any strength, this is going to start cruising higher, and it's going to start going higher very, very quickly. So just keep that in mind. But it is coming down to a logical area. It should hit down here, but just keep your eye on it. Kind of like this level here to be defended. See if they want to come up, tag that, and then maybe price might roll over again for one kind of final little dip south, but watch for that one. Anyway, that's kind of all I wanted to discuss. I want to talk about sugar, but it was a U.S. holiday, so that's not going to happen. That's about it, guys. I thank you for your time. If you stuck with me so far, it was just a quick session today. Quick 30 minutes or so, 35 minutes. I'll just give you a quick review what I'm looking at. So could be a little bit of juice left in this lemon for the week, but I'm definitely not going to be pushing my luck. My last trading day, and again, I'm not trading anything live, but on demo, of course, would be on Wednesday, would be the last day, and then I'd let Thursday, Friday pan out on their own, and then study it, and then reassess on the weekend and have a look for starting next Monday. Once NFP is in, the results are tabulated, and we know specifically what we're doing with the US dollar, because it is crouching up to some highs here that you definitely want to be careful of. So that's everything. I appreciate your time once again for F45 trading. Jump on to our website at f45trading.com, where we have free enrollment to our membership group, where you get access to our live chat room where we talk about a ton of strategies daily. You get access to our signals channel, where we have several signals go out every single week. We have obviously, and just so you guys know as well too, if you're listening to this live, this session, and you're not part of our membership group, I'm not going to be doing these live sessions for free for very much longer. I'm pretty much going to put a cap on it here. I've been doing them free now for a little while now, actually, since I think January or December or something like that. I can't actually quite remember when I started doing them. I'll have to look back, but it's been a while now. So I think it's going to start being an exclusive content for our members at f45trading.com. And so you can join us over there. I'll let you know. I'll give you lots of notice, though, as to when that's going to happen. But just so you know, it will happen. It's not going to be free forever. And but I'll give you lots of time on that one. But jump on f45trading.com. Check us out. Make sure you sign up. Click down here in the bottom on this little icon. Make sure you sign up to our YouTube page. And you get notice of when we go live on the next ones. And yeah, join us on Twitter, F45Trading. at F45 Trading, and on Instagram at Future 45 Trade Signals. So that's it. That's all, folks. I appreciate your time. Hope you have a great Tuesday. Good luck in the markets, and just keep in mind it is non-farm, so just dial your risk back. Keep your targets small. Keep your stops tight, and keep your head above water, because could be some fireworks come on Friday. So we will catch up to you on Wednesday. Dave will be back, and he'll be doing a live session for the New York session, trading S&P and the gold markets for you. So you can look forward to that, and we will talk to you then. Myself, I'll be live back again on Thursday for I'll probably do a New York session. Again, I'm not trading on Thursday, so there won't be a whole lot going on, but just depending on how my schedule works, I'll give you some heads up, but more than likely it'll be the New York session. So thanks very much, guys. We'll catch up to you then.